Hello and welcome to North 100, a Canadian Highlander podcast. I'm Serge. Joining me today, I have a Jer.
Hello.
And a Wheeler.
I'm trying to think of a cool card to make an All Lang Syne joke, but I can't. Can we restart the episode? Don't.
Reminder that quality jokes like that are brought to you by you with your support at the Patreon over at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. This is our 2020 year in review, so we're going to do something a little special. A lot of you have been asking for it. So today, the best card you're not playing. Jer, what is it?
It's an old classic Gaddock Teague. It's a 2/2 Kithkin advisor. It's going to set you back a green and a white. And it has some of the most devastating text in Magic's history. Non-creature spells with converted mana cost 4 or greater can't be played. Non-creature spells with X in their mana costs can't be played. I've lost to this card more times than I'd like to count. That Sai has been admitting the same.
Oh, top 5 least favorite cards of all time.
Yeah, easy. But people don't play it anymore, which is great for me, great for you, but bad for them. So, the generous people that we are, we're going to remind people. Play this card, ruin your control and combo opponents' days. Maybe lives is a little excessive. Yeah, day. Ruin their day.
I miss Teague.
Great card. Play it with Green Sun Zenith. It's not that big a deal.
And you'll play it with Geddons too. It doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
Play it with Elspeth,
You don't even care about your non-bow. I have actually had Teague in play with like the only 4/4 drops in my deck in hand and just sitting there being like,
you probably still won.
Yeah, exactly. Just being like, you know what? It's worth it. Teague is doing more damage to them than it is to me.
The amount of times I've had upheaval, time spiral, Wrath of God, Gideon Jura.
You can't even wrap Teague.
Terminus, Entreat. Yeah, all those cards just sitting in my hand. All these cards that just outclass this Chungus.
And if you have Mother Runes in play, you can't lose that game. Mom's going to protect you from the spot removal.
No, you know what, Serge? You can. You can actually beat Mother of Runes plus Teague. All you need is an artifact, like a Pyrite Spell Bomb. Don't worry, I'll just cast this Whir of Don't worry, I'll just cast this Don't worry, I'll just cast this Tezzeret. Don't worry, I'll just cast this War Gate. Nothing. Why does it say X? Why couldn't it have had a clause where it's like, look, you can pay X, but nothing 4 or greater, okay?
Or you have to pay X twice or something.
Yeah, make it clunky. Who cares?
Teague is just like, no.
Just let me play Magic.
It's such, oh my God. And it hits so much more than you'd think.
I don't think I ever feel better Force of Willing a card than Force of Willing a Gaddock Teague. And my opponent also feels good, but they don't understand. It's good for me, not for them. They're like, haha, got the Force of Will. And I'm like, haha, Force of Will the Teague.
Yeah, Teague is in the graveyard. I'm safe. Amazing.
And then they untap and Savine's wreck it and I lose. But, we had hope for a minute.
All right, let's talk about our theme today. This is our 2020 in review episode, and this is going to be a little bit tough for us because 2020 has been very difficult for us and the amount of Magic we're playing because of a little something called COVID-19. I've barely played any Highlander all year, and that sucks. Not only it sucks as a content creator, it sucks as a fan of the format, it just sucks in general, and it's reflected in the amount we've been recording this year. But we still wanted to do a wrap up because a lot of really cool things have happened this year that are going to be great for the format. It's going to be great for us when we finally get a chance to play more. I guess one pro side, I have been playing more online formats. I don't know. How's it been? Let's start with Jer. How's 2020 been for you in Highlander?
I've mostly just been playing less and less as the year went on, honestly. It's kind of sad, but my two biggest motivators to play are tournaments and getting to play with my local friends and play group that I am involved in and have I enjoy a lot, and I just in the horizon I can't really do either of those things effectively, so my motivation to play is just not being there.
Wheeler?
I went down from playing the format about 40 hours a week to 8 to 12 every 2 weeks or whatever, if I can find people, for webcam game or something like that. Yeah, it's formats like this are just very much about, the community is so huge, right?
Yeah, totally.
Playing with people, going to events, playing with that competitive kind of edge, seeing especially when you're from, being in Victoria and then going to like when we would go to the events in like Seattle and see what the large Seattle community, like the best part was always being like, okay, so what tech do they have? Like what have they been cooking up?
Sure,
What cards are
yeah.
they returning to? Like that was always the best part.
Having the pride of like sort of like going there and like defending our format, like it was always such a huge deal when like the field was like 10% Canadians, but we had such a high win rate for winning the tournaments. And like it's a big deal because their scene is super legit. They have lots of good players there too. They have lots of good brewers. They build decks differently and sometimes better than we did. And it was always really fun to go down there and see what they were playing and play against people that like other good players that play our format that we don't get to play against all the time.
It's such a win-win because if a Canadian wins, then we get to just really ham up the what a good kid. Do you see how he won that? Oh, good game.
Oh
there,
yeah.
boys.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh yeah. You really ham it up and you hype up the people you're with. And then if the Americans beat you, then you're like, oh hell yeah. Like we got our asses kicked. That means we got to come back and do them right next time. Or it's like, well, we got beat, but I got to play Highlander against people that have like top 8 pro tours, won pro tours, or literally have designed the game. So like that's kind of cool. Like that's not a thing that you can technically do that online, but it's not it's so not the same, right? Like
yeah
and the personalization of it, right? Like when people talk about Commander, and you think of Commander, you think how people they've really just spiced up their deck and they have like an altar on their Commander and they have their playmat as their Commander, that kind of stuff. But like Highlander players do that too, right? Like we have our forever decks, so it's just so much cooler to see someone with like, oh hey Seattle player I haven't seen in 6 months, how you doing? They're like, pretty good, I got really into medium red and I bought a beta soul ring, check it out. And you're like, oh my god. Like I see.
When Pat got the elbow drop monkey playmat, I can't even remember the name of that card.
Savage Knuckleblade.
Yeah, the Nux. Right?
Or when Pat got like 20 of the key Pat pod cards altered, they look insane.
God, I want that one. He's doing the finger thing he does.
Yeah, just like shoves his finger down and it like bends in half on the table. He pushes down so hard.
Picks the card up, smushes it against his nose. Yep, that's good.
I know there's going to be a home waiting for us. I can't wait for this to come back. And something I'm probably the most excited to do is to see where the format is when we start to include all the sweet new sets that came in 2020. Now, not as oppressive as 2019 was. As a quick refresher, here's what we got in 2020. New Theros. We got Ikoria, M21, Return to Zendikar, and Commander Legends. So there's some new strong cards to play around with. We have the double-faced modal cards, of course, which we had a hard time talking about in the set review. We didn't really know what an impact it was going to make to have a land on one side versus the spell on the other. And of course, all the new Monarch cards added in Commander Legends. What do you think? You excited for 2020 Magic? You think it's going to get shaken up?
Definitely. There's definitely like probably not quite to the same extent, although it's a little hard to tell because we obviously haven't played as much. But I definitely think there are going to be some cards that make a definite impact on the format.
Yeah, like I hate the Monarch a lot. And even I had this thought of like, because even if you despise what it can do and that kind of stuff, but you like I think you should probably take a more measured approach with it until it gets played. So even I was like, what if the Monarch becomes so important that people are just playing more like threats and creatures and it becomes more board based, and then you just get more like you get a more natural kind of flow, less combo kind of things, and you end up maybe tempo ends up being really big because you can play onboard threats, you can counter the right things to protect your things, steal the Monarch back easier through evasive threats, and I we don't know until we really get the numbers and people playing, and we get that cha-ching on the line to really drive the spikes. But like, yeah, like maybe the Monarch, adding all these Monarch cards ends up being a net positive. So that's interesting to see. Like maybe it's just a huge dumpster fire, who knows? But like it's still exciting to see that and to test it, right?
Yeah, definitely. And like the format has such a huge sort of like almost cult like following that there's so many people that only play Highlander like as their only form of Magic, and they just want to like either improve their deck or find the next best deck or find the next like sweet thing you can do with the new cards. So many of them just haven't been able to do that. It'll be kind of interesting to see what happens when like people come back and pick up like 4 or 5 new sets worth of cards.
I can't wait. I mean, imagine the tournament reports for the first month where people, it almost feels like a new format you're walking into. There's so many new untested cards that you're going to come in, you're going to try out a deck, you're going to test 20 new cards, be like, oh, these are all garbage, and get run over by something else. I think that's really exciting. And Highlander already isn't a solved format, right? There's already so many people brewing constantly and bringing new things in. Oh, sorry, my mind is racing.
Yeah, I'm very excited to lose a bunch of credit. Like if I still like just playing utter garbage, well, not utter garbage, just completely untested. Like you should really do something more sensible, get back into things. Ben is like, nah, I think Elf Dredge is a good starting spot. Or like, just like the amount of deck lists, because people still, even if not as much playing, people are constantly brewing, right? Like I think you're right in that there's a lot of people that are just kind of getting, they're sitting and squirming around. They're like, oh, I can't wait, I've got this cool deck I want to show, or like I want to do a deep dive and test this thing. Or people practicing decks, like people that are like, well, I'm in quarantine, I'm going to learn how Storm works, and they get to go, surprise, here we are, I've got a bunch of decks that I've been brewing, I'm going to try these. They're like, cool, I'm doing a thing I've never done before in person, I've only goldfished it, but I've goldfished for 80 hours, let's do this, right?
How do I recover from the first piece of interaction or disruption? Oh no, my carefully laid plans.
Yeah, you just like, again, that human element is so important. Not even like an opponent, right? Like the human opponent across the table playing, with the cards that they want to play with too. That's the best part about Highlander, right? You got two people playing the cards they love against each other. And yeah, very excited for that.
What are the most busted cards that came out this set? So, Throne of Eldraine, of course, your Okos and your Uros.
2019, baby.
Those are 2019. Exactly.
Well,
so, I mean,
Uros Theros.
Wait. Oh no. All right. So we have Uro as a 2020 busted card. What else is on our nightmare must watch list?
Thassa's Oracle.
Yep.
Thassa's Oracle was 2020?
Yeah, Theros.
Oh man. All right.
I gotta tell you, I am not excited to fight Opposition Agent as well, or Hull Breacher.
Good.
I think Hull Breacher's fine. Like it's
Oh, yeah.
really good, but like it's fine. Opposition Agent is just stupid.
Yeah. Hull Breacher it's okay.
So real quick, for people who aren't familiar, what's Hull Breacher?
It's the 3-mana 3/2 merfolk that has the sort of pseudo Notion Thief text. It's like whenever you would draw a card that's not the card you would, or the first card you draw on your turn, or the card you would draw during your draw step, instead they don't draw that card and you get a treasure.
Yeah.
So that's the fair one. And what's the one you're really terrified about?
I'll give you the
Sure thing. Opposition Agent, 2 and a black for a 3/2 with flash. It's a human rogue. You control your opponents while they're searching their libraries. But there's more. While an opponent is searching their library, they exile each card they find. You may play those cards for as long as they've remained exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast them.
I forgot about those. Oh, Commander Legends. What a gift. What a gift. Maybe I'm not as excited. No, I'm just kidding. I'm excited.
I mean, I'm not excited for... I think you can be not excited for a couple of these cards.
On the whole, it was definitely better than 2019, though. Like, they had whole sets that were mostly fine.
Yeah, like I definitely can foresee somebody being like, "Oh yeah, I've got my blue black X deck ready. I got my Sultai deck ready with Opposition Agent, Hull Breacher, Uro, and Oko. I'm going to beat them down." And they draw a hand with like Agent and Hull Breacher, and they're like, "This is it. This is it." And then they're just against someone that's like, Mountain Bomat Courier."
Yeah. Goblin guy.
But then you have Uro, and you just win.
Yeah,
Uro's 19 though. Like that's just proving our point.
yeah, exactly.
Oh no, Uro's 20.
They just skull crack. They have the skull crack, or I don't know. Maybe they played Stigma
Vortex.
last year because they wanted to feel something. Yeah, Roiling Vortex, Sulfuric Vortex. We got options.
Any Vortex.
I tried to play Blue Black Tempo for a long time because I was like, this is sick. I got the flash cards, I got the best hand attack, I got the best counter spells, and I just got run over every time I played that deck. Yeah. It turns out that there are some powerful effects, but sometimes you're just dead to Thrun, right? You're like, oh wait, how do I kill a 4/4? I can't attack through this.
There's like an Earthshaker Kenra doing the Macarena in the background.
They played their 5th land, and then you just look at their graveyard.
You thought sees something, which gives them you thought sees them. You lose life, take some big red card, and they're like, "Oh, thanks. I'll bring back my Phoenix of Ash."
Yeah. All right, what other busted cards? We talked about those Commander Legends ones. We talked about Thassa's Oracle. I don't know about busted cards. I'm just excited to play with the Triomes from Ikoria.
Those are sweet.
They're very good. They're very good. Omnath is this is going to sound weird to people that don't play Canlander, but listen to this, which there's a shockingly large amount of the audience. Yeah. But like Omnath and Uro in our format aren't honestly as bad 4-ofs.
No.
Like they're very good, but they're not like I've played Omnath a bit in Canlander, and it's very good, but there's a real cost associated with it. It's not like a free roll where there's no blood moons or price of progresses running around or whatever. But I kind of just want to play Omnath some more. I played him in Eggs. That was a lot of fun. He's a big idiot. He's great.
I've played Uro a bunch, and it's very good, but not as ridiculous.
I had Uro in a tempo deck, in a blue-green tempo deck, and I was changing it up, wanted to add black or red to it, and I was like, I think I'm cutting Uro from this deck. It's I don't know if it's 100% correct, but feels okay. There's a busted card from Commander 2020, which was like released alongside Ikoria, that I've included in decks. I've played those decks. I've yet to cast this card, and I've yet to have it cast against me. Manascape Refractor.
I'm going to need to look that up.
Oh, so it's a 3-mana artifact. It enters the battlefield tapped. It has all activated abilities of all lands in play. You may spend mana as though it was mana of any color to pay these activated abilities. It's a Tolarian Academy and a Deserted Temple and a Boro and like a strip and a waste and everything. It's everything. And it's your opponent's stuff too. It's disgusting.
So it's really hard to go infinite with, is what you're telling me.
Oh yeah. This is such a fair card.
Tap for Tolarian Academy's ability. Return with Oboro's ability.
Yeah. I look at this card and I'm like, okay, let's try to think of more fair-ish applications. What are some fair utility lands? And then I was like, well, I guess being able to Volrath Stronghold my Urza back on top is pretty good. Or yeah.
Is it bad that the first thing I thought of was it's another Mesavith?
No, that's all.
It's another workshop. You're like, turn 1, workshop this, untap with 2 workshops, right?
Yeah.
Well, and then you can tap that to cast something else.
Well, no, it enters tapped.
Oh, okay.
Right? Even if it's Mikukoro,
yeah.
There's God, this card is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
This card's sick.
See, I'm just excited to play with stuff like, what's the name? Moth from
Luminous Broodmoth
from Ikoria. I know that card's great, but I haven't actually experienced watching Jair sit across from me sweating because he has Wrath of God in hand and everything's gonna come back, right?
Well,
No.
I'm with you. I did. My pause was just, is Jared going to play Wrath of God in 2020
Oh, Jerry, are you going to play Wrath of God in 2020?
2021.
or 2021? Jeez. Oh God.
Yeah, probably, maybe, I don't know. I've been like moving away from it, as I've mentioned before. I'm like more in on Settle and Terminus anyways, which gets that
Oh.
card's goat, so it's not the most savage beating around, but I'm sure it'll still kill me and be good.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of really not busted, but really powerful cards that like have just juiced up these archetypes that were kind of like, yeah, you can do it. And whenever they were mentioned, people were like, oh, do you have a list? You're like, I don't know if you want to do this, you know. But like now, I think that from the cards that we've received, they're totally real. Like there are so many
You
cards.
got some examples?
Well, I mean, Luminous Broodmoth and Luris,
Oh God, Luris. How did I forget about Luris?
Skyclave Apparition, right?
Yeah.
Like here's 3 very good white cards that fit right in that mono white Soul Sisters list that I fell in love with and kind of regret making that the deck that I last played in paper. What a miserable decision that was. But like, you know, getting to really juice up those kind of decks, or like I saw somebody link a mono black mid-range list that was like life gain, super life gain heavy, with like, I guess Vito was Vito last year? Vito was this year.
Oh, the white black life gain deck now, right? Of course, that Soul
Yeah.
Sister list is sick. It can actually kill you.
This was
right?
mono black. Like they had that black white too. Black white, very good, right? Like that list got a whole bunch of cheap things that just killed them. But this was like it. I looked at it, and if somebody shared me this list like 2 years ago, I would have been like, "Oh,
Neat.
cool. Have you thought about adding green and maybe cutting a couple of these, cutting all the life gain cards? Have you thought about this? You know, that kind of thing." But like, I looked at it and was like, well, there aren't any bad cards in this list. Like you just, be it like, you know, the Murderous Riders, granted 2019, but you have all these cards that are very thematically driven and very much sticking to the themes of the sets that they're printed in, as well as certain themes that used to be kind of like, this is a set with counters. This is a set with life gain matters.
Oh God, the +1/+1 deck now. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, they become more
wow.
evergreen, and we just get
Yeah.
them all the time. And so you're like, oh, cool, you're a counters deck. Haha. Oh, I'm dead on turn 4. Right? Like, you're like, oh. So
yeah, like this is getting out of control.
yeah.
Well, let's transition then to hopes for 2021. I can't wait to play more Magic. I cannot wait. I can't wait for Magic Fests. I can't wait to get down to Vegas, hopefully next year. And we'll see how it goes, right? We'll see how we get ahead of everything. But God, I can't wait. I mean, we're talking about like best case scenario is in the summer of next year, COVID is a memory. You know, we're laughing about like, oh, I found my mask in my closet. Isn't that great? Like, oh, that was so cute. What a wild time it was.
That is some wildly hesitant optimism.
I know, but I mean, that's me too.
I mean, I get what you're saying though, right? The like, even just being able to get like the idea of being able to get back into a situation where you can just play in person.
Yeah.
Right? With people.
That's way more realistic than everyone flying to Vegas. No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
I mean, even just saying like having somebody come, like flying someone for like a PPR or something, right? And being like, I haven't seen you in 16 months. Let's play some Magic, right?
Let's rumble. Let's go. What's in your deck? I don't know. I haven't bought a card since 2019. I don't care. Let's play.
Great.
What about the upcoming sets? Kaldheim, Strix, we got Time Spiral Master, we got Forgotten Realms, more D&D stuff, more Innistrad. I think these new sets are going to be pretty spicy too.
I mean, God, the North 100, the set review podcast, but like Kaldheim, so far, the cards that we have seen, which I'm not going to say them directly, they are reflective of certain changes and shifts that are returning mechanics, I guess, that I know a bunch of Canlander players have been waiting for ages, you know, just like, spoiler alert. Well, actually, I'm gonna hold my tongue. But you get the picture. Like there again, it's just
I applaud your restraint.
more of that. Like, man, I wish this was evergreen. Oh, they're kind of making it evergreen. Cool, right? Like,
Heck yeah.
yeah.
Jerry, you got hopes for 2021?
I mean, mostly just getting to play again, sort of getting the motivation back, like getting to get out and play with homies, tournaments. Although that may be a 2022 dream, but like at least like some local tournaments, maybe, or at least getting to jam with friends outside of tournaments. Yeah, mostly just getting to play. I just want to play.
Beer magic.
Yeah, Beerlander.
Oh, man. Remember Timmy's Lander?
I do.
Well, we just call it Tim Lander.
Yeah, we'd all drive to a Tim's at like midnight and jam
Yeah.
Highlander.
Yeah, get cheap, bad donuts. I'd have tea because the coffee's undrinkable and just jam magic. Heck yeah.
Very. This is going to sound peak Canadian to so many people.
People are like, what's a Timmy's? What are they even talking about? Whatever.
Why would you drive out to a Tim Horton? What's going on? Oh, this donut's terrible. Oh no, I got frosting on my birthing pod. Anyways, another game.
Yeah, the glaze from the apple fritter got over so many of my cards. It was horrendous.
How did the sprinkle get between my two sleeves, right?
How does that even happen?
All right, friends, let's move on to our closing segment here. And we figure if we're going to do a wrap up for 2022, we're going to bring back something that a lot of people have missed, and that is powerful magic. Bear, 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 bear. I'll do my own air horn. Wheeler, take us home with the final powerful magic story of 2020.
All right. You know, I think it's fitting too, because at the beginning of 2020, I may have lost to Time Vault, assuming that's the same year. Honestly, I had to think about it. But I got a story here where I kicked Time Vault's ass. And mind you, I was playing Time Vault at the same time, but in a bit of a different way. So I kind of hinted to this on the last episode of the like top 5 red-green Gruul cards when you mentioned Bloodbraid Elf. And a deck that I've talked about a bit was 5-color Cascade Stacks, which back in the Wild West days of the format, where not a lot of things were pointed or very odd things were pointed, there was a deck I enjoyed playing that was a 5-color Stacks variant. Played like Workshop and, you know, a bunch of Planeswalkers, Wildfires, artifact things, all that good stuff.
It was such a hot mess. Oh,
yeah,
God.
It was great.
I loved that deck, and I hated playing it, but I loved that it existed.
Yeah, there's one of the builds that I found from back then is like 33 points or something nowadays. It's absolutely bonkers. But to jazz things up, one of the Plane Chases had come out. I think it was Plane Chase 2012 had just come out with like Shardless Agent, which is an artifact, and Ethereum Horn Sorcerer, which is one of my like favorite cards of all time. It's a giant Minotaur wizard that's also an artifact. It's like 6 mana. It's a 3/6 that has Cascade. And it's an artifact creature. But you can also pay 3 mana to return it from play to your hand.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was like, oh, cool. I can tap Mishra's Workshop into this. That's kind of funny. And then I don't know how it got to where it got, but I had a build where I just played all these Cascade cards as well. And of course, I was free rolling a Time Vault. And I remember playing a match against somebody playing a Time Vault deck. And they had done enough to kind of like disrupt what I was doing. And my deck got very much like within development hell, as in I kind of over memed myself and I just cut like all of my answers that weren't attached to like Planeswalkers, which was not a good decision. You kind of need to answer things like Time Vault. So I had like played a Voltaic Key in this matchup early, and I was on Time Vault in that list myself. Like Time Vault was a part of the points. And so I played a Voltaic Key out early, and then I had played a Grim Monolith, a Grim Monolith Key, just beautiful. But my opponent had gotten rid of the Grim Monolith. Then I'm just left with this Voltaic Key and just a bunch of garbage. And they played a Tezzeret the Seeker, so the 5 mana blue Tezzeret, and they ticked down Tezzeret the Seeker to find Time Vault. So Tezzeret plus Time Vault, match made in heaven, right? That's just like if they get to untap, they win the game. I've got nothing on board except for like mana and this Voltaic Key. I don't really have anything relevant in hand, and like honestly, I don't have much relevant in my deck. And I draw, and I draw a Bloodbraid Elf. And I go, oh, cool. I can kill their Tezzeret, and then I might not die. And so I cast this Bloodbraid Elf, and then I cascade, and I cascade past a bunch of other ways to, kill people, wildfires, big planeswalkers I had no business playing, expecting to just hit like a mana rock. And I kind of hit a card that was a mana rock. I hit a copy of Sculpting Steel. Steel is a 3-mana artifact that you can have it come into play as a copy of any artifact in play. So it could come in as like another mana rock or whatever, or it copies a Wormcoil Engine, cool things. But it came in and copied their Time Vault. And then I got to untap it with my Voltaic key, and then I Time Vaulted them and killed them with this Bloodbraid Elf.
How had I never heard this story? Oh, that's so good.
Honestly, without all my hype, it's kind of boring. It's kind of just like, oh, you're going to muck me. Joke's on you, I mucked you. But
no, that's beautiful.
In like the history of the thing, I guess it's a weird thing to say. It's like, well, yeah, I played Bloodbraid Elf and cascaded into Sculpting Steel, and then I took infinite turns with Time Vault. What's out of the ordinary of that? Right?
Oh.
Anyways, I guess that's my hope for 2021. Less Time Vault.
Or just play more Sculpting Steels. Right? Either way, win-win.
Yep.
So friends, that is going to do it for our 2020 year in review. Thank you so much for listening. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we can't wait to see you in 2021. A reminder that North 100 is brought to you by you with your support of the Patreon over at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. Thank you very much for listening, and we will see you next year. Bye-bye.